Let's see if this one worked. Last time I got cut off when I was asking the question. And my question is this. Is it me? Or is there a group of people out here who are trying to gaslight those who are purposely single, meaning single by choice, meaning they have options, but they're choosing to be alone, or at least romantically? Is there a group of people out here trying to gaslight those people into thinking that something is wrong with them for choosing to be alone in this season? Am I the only one that's seeing that? And I don't mean they got this uniform on saying, hey, I'm somebody that will bash you for being single. I'm talking about, matter of fact, let me give y'all an example. I saw a clip going viral recently. It was on some reality TV show. I don't typically watch it, but this one was interesting because there was two girlfriends. One of them was in a bad relationship. She getting done bad, just walked all over. And this ain't the first, second, third, or 33rd time. It just keeps on happening season after season after season. Her homegirl's trying to talk some sense into her. Like, hey, at some point you got to decide that you deserve more. Don't you know that you can do better? She was being a good friend. And the woman that was in the embarrassment ship basically was deciding to go down with the ship. She was like, you ain't even got no man. How you gonna tell me? You over there single. How you gonna tell me something? And I just got to thinking like, man, I always hear some format of this rhetoric as if a single person don't know what they talking about when they're telling somebody not relationship advice, but they're telling them how to stand up for themselves, how to have boundaries, how to love themselves. Like, that's not a romantically exclusive thing. It's not like only people in relationships love themselves. In fact, I'll step on some toes and say a lot of people in relationships are still in those relationships because they don't love themselves. Tell me if you agree or disagree. Anytime a person that's single tries to encourage or motivate a friend out of a toxic, abusive, mishandling situation, they get shut down with their relationship status. But it's like, what is your emotional and mental well-being status staying in that relationship? That correct me if I'm wrong. I see these people all the time saying this. And let me say this. For anybody who got it confused, I believe in love, relationships, marriage, the family structure. Everything that I do is advocating for exactly that. I'm never going to get on here and tell people, be alone your whole life. No, I believe there's somebody for everybody. And we get to that right somebody by being the best versions of ourselves. That's what I believe. However, I do believe there's a time and a place for everything. And there's a time and a place to be single. It don't mean that you did something wrong. It don't mean that you're undesirable. It don't mean that you can't get nobody. When a person is purposely single, that's basically saying they have options. They have choices. But they either don't like the choices or they're not choosing until that choice is an upgrade from what they've established in their singleness. That's what a single person's stance is most times. Are there exceptions? Are there people who genuinely don't get any attention or afraid or socially awkward to the point they can't let anybody in and they need the therapy? Absolutely. But most people who are single are doing so by choice. Why do I say that? And let me just post this real quick because I saw a couple of questions come in after my last masterclass, and I want to get to those in a minute. But this day and age, it's so easy to escape singleness. There's social media, there's the internet, there's this, there's that. We're in the hookup culture. It's so easy to just join yourself with somebody and call it a relationship just so you don't have to be alone. This ain't the 1800s, where if you didn't have somebody in your immediate 2-mile radius, you had to be single. This ain't a time and place where people get bashed or stoned for, being in relationships or out loud or anything like that. You could choose whoever you want. Like, this is a day and age where I would say it's a lot harder to be single than in a relationship. Don't mean it's a good one. And that's why I respect people who are single by choice. Again, I'm not advocating that we have this war between the genders and we don't need each other. No, healthy men and women do need each other. Absolutely. But before you can be healthy, you first have to realize that you need yourself in order to get to that point, in order to establish those standards, those boundaries, have that awareness so you can choose the right person for you. But let me just put y'all on. When you see somebody who says that they're purposely single, that don't mean they can't get anybody. And I heard somebody, well, if the right person came along, I bet you would be with them. No, because the right person coming along still means there's a process to even evaluate, and that's the right person. Why? Because we live in a day and age where a lot of people pretend to be the right person. And there are certain seasons of your life. This is a really good reason to be single. There are certain seasons of your life that are too critical. They're too fragile to be trial and erroring through all of the other people that ain't right just to get to the one that's right. There are certain seasons you can't play with that right now. You might be in a season of healing. There might be something going on in your family. You might be traveling back and forth, anything. But for those who are saying, okay, well, I'm single, but I'm feeling insecure in that. Let me tell you something. You're doing a good thing. If you know that either you're not ready or the options that you've been presented with are not ready, you're doing a good thing. Because you can't just be getting out here yoked to everybody's internal environment. You can't be connecting yourself to everybody's internal environment. And that's what a relationship does. Anytime you get in a relationship with somebody, you're going to have closer proximity to them than even their own parents have had to the adult versions of them. So if they got an internal hell going on every day, guess what? You're being brought into that internal environment of hell. If they're embattled every day, if they're angry every day, if they're broken every day, what they say? Broken people, break people, hurt people, hurt people. If whatever internal environment they have, you can't be going getting yoked with just any and everybody. Because we all know it's not about a person's good looks. It's not even about a person's personality. The person that you're going to be with is going to consist of who they are internally, their character, their integrity, their decision making, their value system. That's who you'll be with. That's who you'll raise kids with. That's who you'll be walking down the aisle with. Toby said you just removed the blessing blocker. Exactly. When a person's internal environment ain't right, they'll block every blessing of your peace, of you being in your right mind, of you being clear in thought, focused. So the person who is single by choice understands that they can't just be getting yoked. That's why a person will be purposely single. A person will be purposely single because they understand they also can't get yoked with just anybody's childhood trauma that they may or may not have even recognized by now. Again, when you meet somebody, let's say you're 25 years old, maybe 45. Let's go 45. Because I feel like right now it's probably a lot of y'all who are grown. You 45, you meet the man 45 years old. When you get with him, you got 44 years of prior wiring, conditioning, lessons that have been taught, things that have been modeled that you coming up against. Good or bad? You got 44, 45 years worth of history that's already been created and set in stone by the time you meet him. Of course, adjust that for any age. A person who is purposely single is so because they understand. Not everybody's 40-something years or however many years before they came across. Not everybody's is something good to even be associated with. Yeah, that may look good. Yeah, he may make good money. But did he spend 20-something, 30-something years seeing an abusive relationship and saying that's normal? Did he spend all of those years seeing a person shut down instead of communicating and say that's normal? Out of that 40-something years or whatever years in his adult life, did he spend those years in his previous relationships moving a certain way, being domineering, being deceitful, and come to get accustomed to that? Did he have a wife or a girl or whoever was the mother of his children and letting her be a single mom while she's still in a relationship, and that's normal to him? Like, everybody's prior relationship experience, prior childhood traumas ain't good to be yoked with. A person who is purposely single, or like I like to say, purposefully single, understands that. Those people who bash somebody who's single apparently don't. A person who's purposely single, or if you're single right now and it's by choice, but you feel like the pressure, I want you to really stand on business and stand firm on what you're doing. Because another thing that I would say really validates the decision to be single in today's climate is that it's not good to be yoked to everybody's lifestyle. We ain't even got to say all that. Just lifestyle, where they like to hang out, what they like to do. It's not always a matter of preference. Some people like to be in situations where bad things are going to happen at some point. Irresponsible things are going to happen at some point. Addictions. It's not good to be yoked with everybody's addictions. We all like what we like. I like certain types of food. I like to work out a lot. You know what I'm saying? I got my addictions, if you will. But some people got an addiction to drugs. Straight up. Or porn. Or alcohol. Some people got addictions that you don't want to be nowhere close to. There's a such thing as having options and seeing in those options that there are other things that come with that option that don't make the good on the front end worth it. Val, he said 47 and feeling like the pressure is on. If you're going to feel any type of pressure, feel pressure to be the healthiest version of you, not to be with just anybody. Because another thing you got to consider whenever you're going to be with somebody, I'm trying to get past the notion that when we get in a relationship, we're just with a person who by default is good for us or even neutral. There's so many things singleness protects you from. Another one of them is a person who has a friend circle or a circle of family that ain't good to get connected with. There are times, and a lot of y'all have dealt with this, especially if he was a mama's boy. There are times you'll get with somebody and they parent or they friends are living vicariously through them to impact you. Let me kind of explain. You get with a man and his mama never really had a relationship, whatever. So he gets in a relationship and she telling him all this stuff to do. But what she's really doing is projecting onto him because she ain't got a relationship to be in by herself. Now, that's not to bash her for being single. She in this situation is handling her singleness wrong. Because singleness by itself is actually objective. Or should I say subjective? It depends on what you make it. Singleness is space. What you do with that space is up to you. It's like an empty building. What you put in there is up to you. And some people handle their singleness wrong. They handle their singleness to self-destruct. They handle their singleness to hurt others, etc., etc. Sometimes you might mess around and get yoked with somebody and they don't even think with their own mind. They mama, they daddy make all their decisions. They living for their friends' approval. And here you are getting yoked with them, but really you're getting yoked with everybody they're connected to because they don't even actually have their own identity. People who are single by choice understand this is a factor. I'd much rather be single. I'm not saying me, I'm just saying I actually would much rather be single than to deal with somebody. And I look at their friends and their family and all the people that's in their ear whenever they get vulnerable, like whatever. And there's bad decision making going on all around them. My heart ain't safe. My heart ain't safe because their heart ain't safe. And another reason why I respect those who are purposely single, and this may rub some the wrong way, is because it's not good to be yoked with everybody's emotional, mental, and even physical health. I'm not here to bash people who got problems on any level. And honestly, the physical health is a lot less influential in whether or not a relationship can be healthy or not. But it does play a part because some people have bad health because, again, they like to do dangerous things. They like to eat poorly. And here you are about to get with somebody, make children with them, and therefore have that person model that unhealthy habit to your children as well. See, people who are purposely single, you understand like that's a factor. You're going to be in front of the children eating fried chicken 2-3 times a day, cheesecake every day. I'm not even a health nut like that. I like to be, work out a little bit, but still there's a standard. Single people who are single by choice have a standard. I want to dispel the myth that if a person is purposely single, it's because they can't get nobody. No. Emotional, mental health. It ain't his fault that he was dropped off at the firehouse by his daddy when he was a baby and his mama didn't love him. It ain't his fault. And it ain't your responsibility to try and fix that. I heard this a long time ago and I've been saying it ever since. Women are not rehab centers for badly raised or broken men. Thinking that you are is how you become a broken woman that needs rehab. Am I making sense to anybody? When I'm talking about the slander against people who are purposely single, and then the moment that you get single, you don't have a valid opinion on anything because why you still single? Sometimes the people in relationships need to be single. There's a lot of people in relationships like to talk about single people as if y'all are bitter and thirsty and so just making bad decisions. Sometimes the worst decision you can make is to remain in the relationship that you having to force because you're the only one that's putting forth any effort to even have that relationship. Once a man can sense that you don't want to be without him, like you ain't going nowhere, that you're not okay without that relationship, and he already doing bad, it's only going to get worse. But like I said, singleness is really neither good or bad. It's space, it's opportunity. And what you do with that is on you. Now, if you're single because it feels like, your experiences, they're just so frustrating, you're not coming across anybody that you like or whatever. That may actually be the case simply because of all the things I just listed. No doubt about it. You keep on holding your standards. But there are a lot of people who are single and they're not benefiting from being removed from that toxic relationship or that toxic man because they're still soul tied. And honestly, singleness cannot benefit you if you're still soul tied. Can I keep it real for a second? Being single, getting rid of the person cannot benefit you if you're still soul tied. It's like removing the snake, but you didn't do nothing about the venom. That's like removing a snake. It bit you. All right, I got the snake off me, but you ain't did nothing about getting the venom out. The poison is still in it. Singleness is what you make it. And if you don't cut that soul tie with whoever it is that fumbled you last or at some point had access to your body, your mind through a situationship or whatever, and you don't cut that soul tie, your singleness isn't going to benefit you. Your singleness is just the calm before the next storm. Basically a repetition of the same old same. You have to cut. People don't like to talk about soul ties. Soul ties are essentially the spiritual version of a trauma bond. We talk about trauma bond, but that's really dealing with more so mental, emotional health, that kind of thing. But there's a spiritual aspect to it that still includes the mental and emotional aspect. Not going to go too far in depth here because I broke that down. And those of y'all who watched the masterclass, y'all already know. I broke that down. Well, Missy said the soul ties video helped me a lot. Yeah, what she's referring to is the masterclass. Breaking the Soul Tie Masterclass, and that's free, by the way. That's free. This is not a paid class, but you do have to register before it comes down. I don't know when you're watching this, but register before it comes down so you can watch right after this. About an hour and a half, I drop gems on step-by-step how to break any soul tie. Don't matter how long ago you formed it. Don't matter how many different men you might have formed it with. Don't matter how long you was in a relationship with that man. You follow the steps I laid out in this masterclass, and you're going to break that soul tie. Breaking the soul tie is how you're going to get your peace back. Breaking the soul tie is how you remove that frequency that was attracting a certain level of man in terms of his character and integrity, and you start getting bombarded with men who are top tier, alpha males, evolved men. At least that's what happened to the women who followed the steps and actually broke their soul tie. It don't take you years and years and years to heal. And a lot of times you're taking years and years and years to make things worse. Either by isolating yourself because you feel like, a relationship or an effort at a relationship is only going to lead to disappointment. Or you keep choosing the same man in a different body. Moral of the story. Don't bash single people, and single people, don't let nobody trick you out of the peace that you found or at least made yourself available to find. By removing yourself from the toxic relationship, a lot of people don't have the courage to do. Now, if you really want that move that you made to get away from that person to be beneficial, finish the process by using that same courage to cut the strings that are tied at your soul to that person, even though they're not in the picture. But those are just my thoughts. I'm your internet brother looking out for you, per usual, best way I know how. And put your money away. I don't need your money. I don't want your money. But I do ask that you pay this forward if something I said resonated with you here in this live chat. If I said anything that you know is the truth, Pay it forward so somebody else can get blessed by this the same way that you just did. It'll be good karma coming your way. I guarantee it. And if you want access to the masterclass, somebody said, what is the quickest way? I break it down an hour, hour and a half on how to break any soul tie you might have so you can get your freedom and finally cut that pattern off of attracting the same type of man over and over again who's only going to disappoint you. I put the link down here in the comments. It's also in the caption whenever you